evening and welcome to Scotland's largest house. It's the home of the Hope family and it has been for 300 years. There's no other family ever lived in the house. And it's still the home of the present Earl, the 11th generation of the Hopes to live here. They live through the brown door there. As you come up the steps, everything to the left-hand side of the main house is still the family home.
I want to thank you all for joining us on honoring our Scottish Heritage Tour. And haven't we learned a great deal more about our Scottish heritage? This is the perfect place to end our wonderful trip this week. This is a beautiful, elegant event. And we are on the eve of our 124th birthday as a national society. Tomorrow will be our 124th birthday, founded by strong women. Thank you all. Thank you for sharing your week with us and for giving us the opportunity to explore this beautiful, beautiful country. I'm not the only one who said I cannot wait to come back. Thank you.
President General, ladies, guests, welcome to Hopetoun, and thank you so much for coming here this evening. We're delighted to see you all. Just to give me a very rough idea, how many of you have been to Scotland before? Quite a few. Excellent. How many of you have been to Hopetoun before? Nobody. My name, as Hope said, is Andrew Hopetoun. And I'm lucky enough to live here. I live here with my wife and 4 children, none of whom are here at the moment. They're all away at school, so they won't disturb your evening, so you're fine. We consider this place home. We built it just over 300 years ago now, and it's been a wonderful place to live. We moved in here only about 7 years ago, so for my children it's a relatively exciting new adventure. I think you're all absolutely splendidly dressed, those of you who have made the effort and put on the Downton costumes. Well done, very well done. I have not been here earlier today, which is why I wasn't here to welcome you this evening, and apologies for that. I've been on the hills of Angus, and I've been stalking So I was wearing a three-piece tweed suit and really looking remarkably stereotypical and very much like a sort of hopefully slightly younger version of Lord Grantham. But the terrible downside of it was that I spent most of the day crawling around in peat hags, and therefore when I arrived I was covered in peat. I was sweating slightly from the walk up the hill, and really I was in no fit state to come and talk to you. So I'm afraid I've changed, and I've changed into something that's rather less Downton, but I hope you will forgive me for that. So Hopetoun, we have been as a family, the Hope family, in Scotland since, well, we lose ourselves in about the 1500s. There's some level of confusion as to whether we came over in the retinue of Madeleine de Valois, who married King James, or whether we went over to go and get her. The 1500s, really by a number of Scottish family standards, frankly, makes us very nouveau. Unfortunately, a lot of them go back to the 10th, 11th century, so we're newcomers. And when we arrived here at Hopetoun, we started acquiring land around here in the 1600s. And our neighbours, the DLs, who still live in the House of the Binns, which is the next door estate to here, built a tower on the march between their land and ours. And they were asked why they were building a tower on the march between their land and ours, to which they replied that they wanted to be able to climb up high so that they could see the frightful modern house that the Hopes were building next door to them, and really rather sneer at it. So we have what passes for a modern house here in Scotland, and it's one that was started in 1699. It was built by a man called Sir William Bruce, who was a famous Scots architect of whom I'm sure a number of you will have heard. He remodeled Holyrood House. He built his own house at... oh, crikey, I'm going mad. Sorry. Oh, God, come back to me in a minute. Anyway, famous Scots architect and worked all over the place. This was one of his last commissions. He was quite an elderly man by the time he built it. And he built it for the first Earl of Hopetoun, my ancestor, who was a very young man. I think actually there is an argument that says he built it for the first Earl of Hopetoun's mother, who was an extremely strong character of whom I'm confident a number of you would have approved thoroughly. She was a magnificent lady, and she decided that her newly ennobled son needed a house to befit his status, so he got one. So it was finished in about 1710 or thereby. But the first Earl of Hopetoun had what has been described as the most terrible case of building fever. And so in the 1730s, by which stage his modern house had become deeply unfashionable because tastes had changed, we'd moved on from the classical here in Scotland and we've moved into the Baroque, he decided that the only thing to be done, rather than to be seen in an out-of-fashion house, was to tear the front off and rebuild it. Obviously, why wouldn't you? So he employed William Adam and his family, his sons John and James, to a lesser extent Robert Adam, who was the most famous member of the family, but who was a very young man at the time. And they were employed to remodel the house in the more fashionable Baroque style. And that took them from the 1730s until about the 1750s, by which stage these pavilions, the one we're sitting in now and the opposite one, they were about the last aspects to be built. And they were even beyond Baroque. They'd gone back into a more neoclassical style. So we built the house between roughly 1699 and the 1750s, and we have been here ever since. And it is a source of great pride and pleasure to me that about 7 years ago now, my father asked me whether we would move in. We used to live in a house that's about a mile that way on the estate. He asked me to move in. He swapped houses with me. The fact that I had just finished decorating our house and that therefore we thought it looked quite good, I'm sure had nothing to do with the decision, but he did ask us to move in. We moved in. I have 4 children. We have 4 children, I should say. We have a girl who is 18. We have another girl who is 15. And then we have twin boys who are 13, non-identical twin boys. We live here very happily. Occasionally we make way for guests, visitors, people who'd like to come and have dinner here, and we do it with great pleasure and with great happiness. It's a wonderful house. It's a wonderful home to my family. I hope very much that you've enjoyed your evening. If by any chance you haven't, then ideally probably complain to Lara wherever she is. If you have enjoyed it, then be nice to me. That's pretty much the way we like to work these things. You have very little left, sadly, of your stay in Scotland. I hope you have the most wonderful time. And there's only a couple of things I need really to say. The first is that Hope asked me to clarify. I think probably the best way I can put it is the point at which the Hope Veres became independent from the Hopes. And the answer is in about the 1730s. And then the Hope Johnsons seceded from the family in about the 1820s. We're still very close to them all. We wish them all well, and it's delightful to see Hope here this evening. And the final thing is just to say I hope you have the most terrific evening. I hope you enjoy yourselves. I hope you have a wonderful finale. I hope you have a safe journey back to the United States. And thank you very much indeed for coming along. Thank you.
We will be celebrating our 125th anniversary at sea up New England and Nova Scotia, so I hope you'll consider joining us again. I can't imagine how it could get better, but knowing how joy works, it just well may. Now, if you would you please join me in singing God Bless America? Would you please rise?
God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above. From the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home. Give yourselves a round of applause. Woohoo! Needed an ending.
And now we have Ann Crider would close our wonderful trip with prayer, please.
We have visited many historic places and educational sites. Thank you for this experience we have had as traveling companions, sister with sister, mother with daughter, mother with son and husbands, husbands with wives, but mostly DAR friends all together. Now we thank you for those who have made this trip possible, a real reality for joy and hope, and all of our bus drivers and our tour guides. Now, dear God, as we come to this final night, we again ask your traveling mercies tomorrow and the coming weeks as we go home. Bless our President General and her overseas group and keep them safe as they travel. Have blessings on our families who are at home and carry us home safely. And now, may God bless you warmly until we meet again. Amen.